Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I am Tanvi Taneja, coming up in the next hour. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi en route to Brunei as part of his two-nation tour of Southeast Asia. It's the first ever bilateral visit to Brunei by an Indian Prime Minister. Russia's President Vladimir Putin visits Mongolia on his first visit to an international criminal court member since it issued a warrant for his arrest last year. At least 129 killed while trying to escape from a prison in the Democratic Republic of Congo's capital, Kinshasa. And in sports, India continues to shine at the Paris Paralympics. Sumit Antil adds a third goal to India's kitty, creating a new Paralympics record. So India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is en route to Brunei as part of his two-nation tour of Southeast Asia. Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed confidence that his visit to Brunei and Singapore will further strengthen India's partnership with the two countries and the larger ASEAN region. In his departure statement, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said he's embarking on a first ever bilateral visit by an Indian Prime Minister to Brunei Darussalam. As India and Brunei celebrate 40 years of diplomatic relations, he is looking forward to his meetings with Sultan Haji Hassan Al Bolkiah and members of the royal family. The Prime Minister said that he will travel onwards to Singapore on Wednesday. He looked forward to the opportunity to meet President Tharman Shanmugaratnam, Prime Minister Lawrence Wong, Senior Minister Lee Hsien Loong and Emeritus Senior Minister Goh Chok Tong. The Prime Minister will also meet with leaders of Singapore's vibrant business community. The Prime Minister said that he was looking forward to discussions to deepening the strategic partnership with Singapore, particularly in new and emerging areas of advanced manufacturing, digitalization and sustainable development. DD India's correspondent Murmu Bhattacharya reports from Brunei's capital city, Bandar Seri Begawan, on what to expect from the visit.
The relationship between India and Brunei has steadily evolved, with defence cooperation being a key component. The exchange of naval visits and the participation of Bruneian nationals in various capacity building courses in India underscore the growing defence and educational ties between the two countries. Trade relationship is important, especially in the context of India's energy security, because every year India imports crude oil worth $500 to $600 million from Brunei Darussalam, which is rich in oil and gas reserves. Both sides also cooperate in space and health sectors and promote people-to-people exchanges. The presence of a vibrant Indian diaspora in Brunei, particularly in the oil and gas industries, construction and healthcare sectors, further strengthens the bilateral relationship. Ties between the two countries are important even from a regional perspective. Brunei Darussalam was the country coordinator for India in ASEAN for 3 years, from July 2012 to June 2015, and played an important role in bringing India closer to ASEAN. As India continues to implement its Act East policy, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Brunei Darussalam is expected to reinforce India's strategic footprint in the Southeast Asian region, fostering greater cooperation in key sectors and also paving the way for a more integrated and prosperous Indo-Pacific region. With cameraman Kumar Datta, this is Murmu Bhattacharya from Brunei Darussalam for DD India.
As India's Prime Minister is all set to visit the city of Bandar Seri Begawan, let's take a look at what makes it so special. DD India's Murmu Bhattacharya has more.
The capital and largest city of Brunei Darussalam is Bandar Seri Begawan. The city is a financial and administrative centre and is known for a river port called Muara Port. Bandar Seri Begawan's landmarks include the gold-domed Sultan Omar Ali Saifuddin Mosque, which is among the largest mosques in Southeast Asia. Istana Nurul Iman, the 1,788-room Royal Palace, and the Hassan al Bolkiah National Stadium. Alongside the modern city is an older settlement called Kampong Ayer or Water Village. Here, people live in houses raised on stilts along inlets of the river. A network of raised wooden walkways connects the houses. A water village probably existed in this region as early as the 600s. The modern city became the capital of Brunei in 1920, and until 1970, it was called Brunei Town.
Bandar Seri Begawan was once predominantly an agricultural trade centre and a river port, but it suffered extensive damage during the Second World War, after which it was largely rebuilt and became the country's financial and administrative centre with a port at the mouth of River Muara. With cameraman Kumar Datta, this is Murmu from Bandar Seri Begawan for DD India.
On his visit to Brunei, Prime Minister Modi will inaugurate the new Chancery building in the presence of members of the Indian diaspora and the Indian diplomatic community. Well, that's the highlight of the day one visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. DD India's Murmu reports.
When Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrives here in Brunei Darussalam, on the very first day of his visit, he will be coming here. This is the new Chancery building of the Indian High Commission. He will be inaugurating this building in the presence of the Indian diplomatic community and members of the Indian diaspora. And after the inauguration, the Indian High Commission will start functioning from here.
Located in the diplomatic area of Brunei, in the vicinity of embassies and high commissions of other countries, India's new Chancery building at Bandar Seri Begawan is a mix of tradition and modernity. It took 3 to 4 years for its construction work to be completed. Architecturally, it is one of the finest Indian high commissions or embassies the world over. It has traditional Indian motifs, extensive lattice work on windows and the exterior. Wall clearings are done with Kota stone in pink and deep maroon. There is a central courtyard water body and a multi-purpose hall with a capacity of 300 people. The decor for the inauguration ceremony is inspired by Indian culture and colours of the Indian tricolour.
The whole decor is conceptualized from the Indianness that we all have deep inside our souls. We have the national flower, the lotus, the national bird, that is the peacock, and we have conceptualized our decor around the uruli, which is a communal vessel that is used for cooking in Kerala. And here in Brunei, it is all about the Indian community and how the community come together when an event happens. And now we have Modi ji coming to Brunei, and that is our communal activity that we are going to give to the High Commission of India for the visit of our Prime Minister Modi.
Indian High Commissioner to Brunei Darussalam expressed his sentiments ahead of inaugural day.
Today is that occasion that from the ancient and the medieval to the modern and the post-colonial, we have an opportunity based and premised on the foundations of a very strong Indian diaspora here, which I spoke of, to make a new beginning. It is emblematic of our relations and its possibilities in future that the Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi ji, with his first bilateral visit here will consolidate and foster new bonds and new strengths, impart new strengths to these relations, these threads.
The Indian High Commission in Bandar Seri Begawan is thus all set to enter its new spacious and modern-looking home. With cameraman Kumar Datta, this is Murmu from Bandar Seri Begawan for DD India.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that he's looking forward to the meetings with Sultan Haji Hassan al Bolkiah and members of the royal family. Prime Minister Modi's visit is the first bilateral visit by an Indian Prime Minister to the nation. India-Brunei celebrate 40 years of diplomatic ties. India-Brunei relationship is based on strong traditional and cultural linkages. Brunei is an important partner in India's Act East policy and its vision of the Indo-Pacific. The visit thus aims to further strengthen India-Brunei cooperation in all sectors. It will also boost space technology, health, capacity building, culture and people-to-people ties. The visit will explore avenues for cooperation in newer sectors. The bilateral trade between the two countries stands at $286.2 million in 2023-24, and India imports crude oil worth $500 to $600 million from Brunei in a year. More on the visit. India's Prime Minister will visit Sultan Omar Ali Saifuddin Mosque in Brunei. Prime Minister Modi will also meet members of the Indian community. DD India's Murmu Bhattacharya reports from Brunei, Darussalam.
The Sultan Omar Ali Saifuddin Mosque takes its name from its builder, the father of the present Sultan and his predecessor, Sultan Omar Ali Saifuddin. He was the 28th Sultan of Brunei. His vision of a grand mosque took 4 years to build. It was finally completed in 1958. The design was heavily influenced by Mughal architecture in India.
We have had very deep historical linkages with, as you would know in history, this island was known as the Borneo Island, and Indian sailors, traders, merchants, pilgrims, preachers, Buddhist pilgrims, they had been sailing these waters. And from the pre-modern, pre-medieval and pre-Islamic times, there have been very deep ties between India and Borneo Island, the residents of this island.
Only the finest materials were used in its construction: Shanghai granite and Italian marble, stained glass and crystal chandeliers from England, fine carpets from Saudi Arabia, and a dome covered in gold leaf.
We are very proud to welcoming our Honorable Prime Minister to Brunei Darussalam. Everybody join, we get together, and we are welcoming our Honorable Prime Minister to Brunei Darussalam.
It's one of the iconic mosques here in Brunei. So,
Pradhanmantri Narendra Modi.
They're receiving a ceremonial guard of honor at Brunei's capital town, Bandar Seri, Begawan. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has arrived in Brunei. As a special gesture, he was received in Brunei Darussalam by the Crown Prince Haji Al Muhattadi Billah. This is the first ever bilateral visit by an Indian Prime Minister to Brunei Darussalam. During the visit, the Prime Minister will engage in bilateral discussions on all aspects of bilateral relations between India and Brunei and cooperation with Brunei, and also explore new areas for cooperation. India shares friendly relationship with Brunei, and our engagements cover multiple areas such as defence, trade, investment, energy, space, technology, health, capacity building, culture and vibrant people-to-people exchanges. The Indian diaspora in Brunei is about 14,000 strong, and they comprise a substantial number of doctors and teachers in Brunei who've earned goodwill and respect for their contribution to Brunei's economy and society. So there we see Prime Minister Narendra Modi receiving the ceremonial guard of honor in Brunei's capital. Well, what will follow is hectic engagements, meetings, delegation level talks with the Brunei's leadership. So a lot is on the agenda. The visit aims to strengthen India-Brunei cooperation in all sectors. The visit will explore avenues for cooperation in newer sectors. And if you talk of bilateral trade, it stands at $286.2 million in 2023-24. So the Indian diaspora in Brunei is about 14,000 strong, as we told you, and it comprises a substantial number of doctors and teachers in Brunei who've earned goodwill and respect for their contribution to Brunei's economy and society. And Brunei is an important partner for India's Act East policy and our vision for the Indo-Pacific. And as India marks a decade of Act East policy this year, the visit assumes additional significance. Brunei has been our country coordinator in ASEAN from 2012 to 2015 and played a key role in our further engagements with ASEAN and continues to do so even today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi arriving in Brunei's capital. So, Prime Minister Narendra Modi being received by the Crown Prince of Brunei, Haji Al Muhtadi Billah. So, this is the first ever bilateral visit by an Indian Prime Minister to Brunei Darussalam. So, during the visit, the Prime Minister will engage in bilateral discussions on all aspects of our bilateral ties and explore new areas for cooperation. India shares friendly relationship with Brunei and our engagements cover, as we told you, multiple areas such as defence, trade and investment, energy, space technology, health, capacity building, culture and vibrant people-to-people ties. The Indian diaspora in Brunei gives its substantial contribution to the economy. It comprises of a number of doctors, eye specialists, teachers who have earned goodwill and respect for their contribution to Brunei's economy and society over the years. Brunei is an important partner for India's Act East policy and our vision for the Indo-Pacific. And as we mark a decade of India's Act East policy this year, the visit assumes additional significance. Brunei has been our country coordinator in ASEAN from 2012 to 2015 and played a key role in our further engagements with ASEAN and continues to do so today. So, what day one of Prime Minister's visit to Brunei entails is an interaction with the Indian diaspora, which will follow an inauguration of the new Chancery building of the Indian High Commission. So, after Brunei Darussalam, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be visiting Singapore, which is being seen as a historic visit and likely to strengthen relations between the two strategic allies. DD India's Akshay Dongre spoke with Indian High Commissioner in Singapore, Dr. Shilpak Ambule, on the upcoming visit and its significance. This is Prime Minister Modi's sixth visit to the Southeast Asian nation.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi is visiting Singapore, which is going to be his fifth visit. The last four visits were in his first term, and the last visit took place in 2018. Even in Singapore, a new government has taken over. Prime Minister Lawrence Wong has taken over the Prime Minister's office in the month of May. And this is in many ways a historic visit by the Indian PM. And to give more details about it, we have with us His Excellency Dr. Shilpak Ambule, the High Commissioner of India to Singapore. Sir, thank you so much for speaking with us. Can we get more details about this upcoming visit?
It's a very important and a historic visit. It's Prime Minister's fifth visit, as you rightly mentioned. Now, a visit very early on in his third term is really, really historic because Prime Minister Lawrence Wong also has taken office in May, and a meeting between two prime ministers very early on in their respective tenures will set the course for our bilateral relationship in the next decade or so. It's also the 10th year of our strategic partnership. It also is the beginning of the 60th year of our diplomatic relations.
India and Singapore also have a very unique mechanism. So in what terms does it set the relation between the two countries apart when we look at other countries in the ASEAN region?
Well, it's a very unique mechanism. I don't think we have it with any other country, nor does Singapore have such a mechanism with any other country. It started in the first meeting of the ISMR, started in September of 2022. And that time we had identified 4 pillars of cooperation. One is the digital space, skills, health and medical care, and one was the connectivity part. This year, the second ISMR, we've increased the number of ministers. There were 6 ministers on the Singapore side and 4 ministers on our side. Also on the sidelines, we have what we call as India-Singapore Business Roundtable. Right. So there are certain CEOs on either side from specific sectors who participate in that meeting, and they also come out with an action plan. So the areas of cooperation which we have identified in advanced manufacturing, sustainability, green growth, green hydrogen.
Prime Minister, soon after coming to power, focused on Act East policy. In fact, he announced the successor of Look East policy. So where do we find Singapore in this vision?
Well, it's almost 10 years now of our Act East policy as well. And Singapore has played a very, very crucial role, not only in the implementation of the Act East policy, but our engagement with ASEAN and our Indo-Pacific policy and its implementation. Singapore has a very crucial role to play. As you see, Singapore is very well connected within ASEAN. Singapore has been our ASEAN coordinator for the last 3 years, during which we elevated our India-ASEAN strategic partnership to comprehensive strategic partnership.
Thank you so much, sir. With camera person SP Dubey, Akshay Dongre, DD India.
Also now, let's listen to Akshay Dongre's report on the shared heritage and cultural ties between India and Singapore and the expectations of the Indian diaspora there.
This is a hustling, bustling district of Singapore, where you will always find people of Indian descent, people of Indian origin, proud Indian people who share the tradition and heritage, and who are in fact cultural ambassadors of India that are spread out across the world. In fact, let's speak to some of the gentlemen who are sitting here. Prime Minister is coming here in 2 days. As far as the foreign policy of Prime Minister Modi is concerned, he has given significant significance to Singapore as far as India's diplomacy is concerned. So are you seeing any result of that diplomacy? Are you seeing any changes as far as the perception of India outside is concerned?
Yeah, I like his foreign policy, and especially his cabinet ministers like Jaishankar and Ajit Doval, and all of them is making good relationship with any country. So I see a good improvement after the government is formed.
Visit is also coinciding with the visit of the Indian Prime Minister to Singapore too. So, how do you feel about it as far as the policy is concerned? The policies that Prime Minister Modi has taken as far as India and diplomacy?
Yeah, I think he's been doing, he and his ministers have been doing a great job, and kudos on their latest election, and I hope they continue to do a good job and build good relationship across the world.
Be it temples, cafes, businesses, restaurants, you'll always find a lot of India as far as Singapore is concerned. With camera person SP Dubey, I'm Akshay Dongre, DD India.
India's President Draupadi Murmu participated in the 21st convocation ceremony of Symbiosis International University on Tuesday. While addressing, she appreciated the university's efforts towards inclusive development with an emphasis on gender equality, noting that 8 of the 11 gold medalists were girls. She also stressed the need to encourage research in the education system.
आज मुझे ये देखकर बहुत खुशी हो रही है कि स्वर्ण पदक पाने वाले 11 विद्यार्थियों में से 8 छात्राएं हैं। इनमें से 2 बेटियां हमारे पड़ोसी देश नेपाल से भी है। मैं सभी बेटियों को हार्दिक बधाई देती हूं। आज हमारे बहनें और बेटियां हर क्षेत्रों में आगे बढ़ रही है। नारी शक्ति का विकास देशवासियों के लिए गर्व की बात है। ये देश के विकास का एक महत्वपूर्ण मापदंड भी है। मैं चाहती हूं कि आप लोग देश के विभिन्न समुदायों और क्षेत्र की संस्कृति और उनकी आज की ज़रूरतों को समझें। इस जानकारी के आधार पर आप ऐसे सॉफ्टवेयर, हेल्थ केयर प्रोडक्ट और मार्केटिंग स्ट्रेटेजीज बनाएं जो सबके विशेषकर वंचित वर्गों के लोगों के विकास में सहायक हो।
And in some international updates now, Russian President Vladimir Putin held talks with his Mongolian counterpart Ugnagin Kurulsuk in Ulaanbaatar on Tuesday. Earlier, the president received a grand welcome at a ceremony featuring a guard of honor on his arrival in the East Asian country. The two leaders discussed prospects for further developing Russia-Mongolia comprehensive strategic partnership and exchanged views on international and regional issues. President Putin will also take part in events to commemorate the 85th anniversary of the Battle of Khalkhin-Gol, where Soviet and Mongolian troops defeated the Japanese army. On to Africa now. At least 129 people were killed while trying to escape from the central Makala prison in capital of Democratic Republic of Congo on Monday. The government, in a statement on microblogging site X, said that as per the country's interior minister, a fire had broken out in the prison, causing injuries to 59 people. An investigation is underway. Earlier, a prison official said that no prisoner had succeeded in escaping, adding that those who tried to escape had been killed. On to West Asia now. In Israel, street protests over Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's handling of ceasefire negotiations entered a second night. Demonstrations, which included a nationwide strike, started after Israeli forces found bodies of 6 hostages in a Gaza tunnel. The protesters are demanding a ceasefire deal with Hamas and release of the remaining hostages. At least 101 people are still being held captive by Hamas in Gaza. United Arab Emirates President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan has ordered a pardon on Tuesday for 57 Bangladeshis involved in last month's protests and disturbances across several emirates. Chief Advisor of the interim government of Bangladesh, Mohammed Yunus, said that they will be deported to Bangladesh soon. Earlier, on 22nd of July, 3 Bangladeshi expatriates were sentenced to life, 53 others to 10 years imprisonment and 1 to 11 years for protesting against the UAE government. And a Democratic candidate for US presidential elections, Kamala Harris, made her pitch to working-class voters in Pennsylvania on Monday. It was the first time both Democrats campaigned together after she replaced him as candidate and revived the Democratic election hopes, seeking to attract voters in the key battleground state of Pennsylvania. The pair of Biden and Harris met union members in Pittsburgh before standing side by side to speak to about 600 supporters. The event on Labor Day, a US holiday, signifies the start of the post-summer sprint to November 5th election. Trump stayed off the campaign trail on Monday, while Harris held events in Detroit and Pittsburgh, where she used her remarks to underscore support for steel workers.
But as we fight to move forward, Donald Trump is trying to pull us backward, including back to a time before workers had the freedom to organize. He's going to jail. Well, the courts will handle that, and we will handle November. How about that? We'll handle November. Let the courts handle that another thing. But we're not going back.
And at a packed Union Hall in Pittsburgh, Biden attacked Trump over jobs and pensions.
Folks, we made a lot of progress, and Kamala and I are going to build on that progress, and she's going to build on it. I'll be on the sidelines, but I'll do everything I can to help. But look, I'm not joking when I say, this is not a joke. When I said this when I was running in 2020, a lot of people didn't believe me. You did, but didn't believe me. It's all at risk because of Donald Trump, literally. With a stroke of the pen, he can get rid of a lot of this. And do you think this guy gives a damn about your pensions? No, I'm serious. Do you think he loses even an instant of sleep over it? Do you think he cares about all the work you do every day and how hard it is? Do you think he cares about good paying jobs for hard-working people who built this economy? Hell.
And in sports, India's Sumit Antil bagged second consecutive gold at the Paralympics, creating a new Paralympics record in Paris. Sumit, who comes from Haryana's Sonipat, initially wanted to be a wrestler, but destiny had other plans for the champion. So with that, it's a wrap on this edition of DD India Live. You can get all the latest news and updates on our DD India mobile app. The app is available on Android and iOS platforms. And you can also catch us online on our different social media platforms at DD India Live. So that's it in this broadcast. News and updates continue on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from my entire team here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.